Okay, this is a tutorial on how to use pop-ups. So I'll show you what I mean. So essentially you have pop-up windows like this. So if that's something that you want to do, continue to watch. Okay, so what you want to do is open up OpenElement, and I'm just going to use the page I used for previous tutorials, and I'm going to use the gallery page. Just it's easy. All this is up here is I've just right-clicked and cloned to make a copy, so that if I do anything wrong, I have a copy there. So don't worry about that. Anyway, so I'm just gonna do a few little things quickly. Okay. Just to make it look a bit prettier, so bear with me. So I'm just gonna put these in groups, in a group of elements. I'll show you why in a second. So I want some text. Single line is fine. Okay, straight away I can see it's not relative positioning. Okay, I want to center the puss and the text. Okay, and I just want to give this some labels. So I'll call this one big cats. Okay, it's black text. Purple. No, let's make it blue. Nope. Oh. Okay, purple's fine. Anyway, let's change the size to auto, width to auto. Okay, so I want to turn this into our pop-up trigger. So if we look at it now, save it. Okay, I want it so that when you hover over the cat, it becomes a hand to show that it's a link. So I think I've been through this before. Click on your group of elements or whatever object you want to change, and customize state mouse over. So what happens when we mouse over it? Scroll down to cursor and change it to hand. So now when you scroll over him, he should change into a hand. The other thing I want to do is make it so that when I scroll over this image, it changes as well. So same thing, but not the group of elements, just the image. So I select him, mouse over state, and background, and I want to change the image to this big cat. Okay. So now, if we preview, okay, two things happen. It changes to a hand, and it becomes a big puss. Okay, so that's it. I want to copy and paste 3 of those. Just want to edit them. So let's say human cats and hot pups. Okay, and I'll change the image, mouse over to, well, let's go with this human-faced cat, and same thing here, and we'll go with this chunky Rottweiler. Okay, save. Okay, so that was just some housekeeping. Now we want to name these groups. Now, the reason why I created groups in this case and didn't just put individual images and text, why did I put them in blocks? It's because I want it so that if you click on the name or the cat or anywhere in the box, I want it to open the pop-up. I don't want it so that if you just click the image, it opens the pop-up or the name. I want you to be able to click anywhere in this region. You'll see what I mean later. And in fact, because of that, I've made a mistake. So let's select all the groups of elements and change them to mouse over. We'll change the cursor to hand. Okay, that's what I did, is it? I don't know. Anyway, so now we want to get to the pop-up stage. So the first thing you want to do is organize your names, which is something you should always do anyway, but in this case it's really important, and you'll see why later, but particularly for pop-up triggers you're going to need to remember the names. So choose something simple. So I'll name the first one, let's call it open. I'll call it G. No, I'll call it open so that I know it's the open trigger. Open big cats. Second one, open human cats, and the third one, open hot pups. Okay, so now we get to the pop-up stage. So go to your elements and scroll down, and you'll see here a simple modal pop-up. If you don't have that, if you don't know how to get that, check out tutorial C1 on how to import new elements. Anyway, so we'll grab the pop-up and pull it across. Okay, so now it's asking me what my open trigger is. I'll just gonna cancel that for now, because we can do that later. And here's my pop-up. Now, Yeah, okay, let's show you what happens. So I'm just gonna change the color to purple for testing, and I'm gonna give it a trigger. So properties, opening trigger, and we're gonna choose open big cats. Okay, this is the first one. Now we need a closing trigger. So I'm gonna put the closing trigger inside the box actually. So let's insert a I'll insert a frame or an image, doesn't really matter. Styles. So the background of the frame, I'm going to select an image. I've just downloaded this cross. Change the position to center, repetition fixed, size contain. Okay, and let's make it say 50 by 50, and let's center it. And again, really important, we give it a name that I can remember, because you'll see. So let's call it close big cats. Okay, so let's click on the pop-up again, properties, and closing trigger. And here it is, close big cats. Okay, so this is why you need the you need to know the names, because you can't select it by view. You have to remember what name you chose for your element. So so now we have an opening trigger and a closing trigger. So I'll save it and let's see what happens. Okay, so if I click big cats, turns into a hand. That's good. Click it, and there's my pop-up, and I can close it. So straight away we can see we don't want it to open in the top left hand corner. I want it to open up here. So I'll close that. Close these. So how do we do that? Now there's two things you can do. So you can see here on the positioning, it has left distance and top distance, which is why I can see it's in the center on the creation page. But if you click on properties, okay, we have another layout section, and this is the one that actually matters. So if I make this, say, 100 from the top, it'll be 100 from the top. I don't tend to like to use that. One reason is that the pop-up will still slide down over the page, and two, sometimes there's bugs with this. So a way around that is to create another group of elements. So before I do that, if we have another look, if you want your pop-up to cover the whole page, which can sometimes be good, then don't do this next step, basically. But I just want it to be a small pop-up. So I'm going to create a group of elements, just pop it on the page somewhere. I'm going to put the pop-up inside the group of elements. Okay, so if I can find it over here, group of elements. Let's rename it. Group popup popup 1 will do. Actually, we'll just call it group popups. Okay, so now I can play around with the group of elements instead of the pop-up inside, which is inside. So let's do that. Let's change the size of the group of elements to say 500 width, say 400 height. Okay, and now okay, we want to make it relative inside as well, something I always forget. And now if we open the page, you can see it opens in the center of the page. So actually, one more thing. Okay, the group of elements doesn't need to be relative. If it's relative, the pop-up will come down from the top left, because everything inside the group is relative. If it's absolute, okay, which is usually better. Okay, no. Okay, yeah, I need to. If I center the pop-up, okay, you can see it opens from the. You can see it opens from the middle, which I tend to prefer. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. All we need to do now is change the closing trigger so that when I mouse over it, it becomes a hand. Okay, I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to put a frame in. I'll change the background to this image I made earlier. Position, center, repetition, fixed, size, contain, center the cat. Okay, and then I'm going to add a multi-line text as well, which will read, I don't know, we have big cats on the ready. Okay, change the color to, I don't know, blue. And I'm just going to shift that down here, center. And I'm going to make the image bigger. So width, let's make it 100%. And the height, let's make it 300. Okay, too big. 250. Okay. I'm going to change the pop-up as well and make the width 100% and the height auto. Okay. And I'm going to eliminate the horrible purple background. So save it. Let's take a look. Okay, so first problem. I can see this scroll bar here. If we click it, it's fine, but then this scroll bar appears, so I'm just gonna close these. So why is it doing that? Okay, first thing, we need to look at the sizes of the pop-up. So, where is it? Okay, so I'm gonna presume it's this big cat, maybe. So I'll try making the width auto. Okay, maybe not. Let's make the width 95%. Let's see if that helps. Nope. Okay, so it's not the cat. If we go to our pop-up, maybe let's make the width auto. Save it. Nope. Okay. Okay, yeah. So it's the text. I've put it as a set value. So when the window, when the computer screen you're using, make it a percentage basically. So let's make it 100%. Save it. Okay, so text is fine, but now we have a vertical scroll bar. Which I'm going to assume is the image. So we can't make it 100%. Let's just make it smaller. Okay, so that's fixed it. And there we go. So I'll just change this text to the alignment to center. And I think that's just about it. So there it is. So if you're getting either scroll bars before, as we saw earlier, or if you get scroll bars as the box opens and then they disappear, you need to play with the sizes. In general, you want the you want to work in percentages when it comes to pop-ups, because otherwise sometimes the text can be bigger than the pop-up, but the element. So if you make it a percentage, you can't really go wrong. The actual pop-up, you want it to be I generally say 100% width, and I want the height to be auto. Usually works. Just double check that. Yep. Okay. And then when it comes to your images and things, if the height is too big, you're gonna get a scroll bar when it opens. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So there it is. There's your pop-up. Now, if we want to do the same for the others, I'll do that quickly. So I'll just pause it for a sec. Okay, so all I'm going to do is copy, select your pop-up, and I'm just going to paste. and I'll paste another one. If you really wanted to, you could have 3 different groups of pop-ups, but you may as well keep the same group unless you want them to appear in different places. So for this exercise, they'll all be in the same group. I'm going to rename them pop-up big cat, pop-up human, and pop-up hot pup. Okay, so if we look inside, we yeah, okay, we have our images. I'm gonna change those as well to image big cat, bcat. Okay, I'll close him. I'm gonna go into the next pop-up group and I'm gonna change the closing trigger name to close human cats. I'm gonna change the picture to image human cat, hcat. And then the last one, pop-up hot pup. So we go down to close, change the name to close hot pups, and change the image to image hpup. Okay, and that just makes it a bit easier to edit things. So first thing I want to do is change the trigger points. So pop-up big cat is okay. Pop-up human, click it. Properties, opening trigger. We're going to change it to open human cats. Closing trigger, we're going to change it to close human cats. Okay, same thing for hot pup. Closing trigger, close hot pups. Opening trigger, open hot pups. Okay, let's save that. Now, we also want to, well, I want to change the images. So I can do that without looking at them. So if I click down on pop-up human content, here's my image. And I can change that over in styles, background, image. And I'm going to make it this human cat, which I drew myself. And I'll close him. And then hot pup, same thing. I'm going to change the image to this sexy dog. And there it is. Now, for the text, okay. Unfortunately, I don't know a way to edit it without clicking it, unfortunately. Yeah, I'll have to play with that, but in the meantime, let's change it so I can see the hot pup pop up, but I can't see the others, so I'll change this one first. A full range of decadent pups and kittens. Yeah, that's fine. And now, unfortunately, this is a bit of a pain. Click on properties and display. No. So that takes it away from view, and we can edit the other ones. Unfortunately, it will take it away from view on the website too, so always remember to change that back at the end. So pop-up human, let's change him to Human cats go. Okay, and then we'll make him invisible too. Okay. What's happened? Okay, I've accidentally clicked the wrong thing, so pop-up human properties display, no. Okay, and then the last pop-up is still okay. So now I'm going to control select both of those properties, display yes, and hopefully we're done. So click preview. Okay, there's a scroll bar again, and I'm guessing it's because one of the images is too big. All right. Go with hcat maybe. Or let's just make the group. Okay. If we make the group of pop-ups auto, perhaps. Let's see what happens there. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, and that's really what you want to do. Otherwise, on a different screen, you might get the scroll bar, whereas this way, it's responsive to any size. And so now it works well. The only problem is, of course, yeah, you can't see it to edit it. So a little bit like we had with the VH, you more or less have to change it to edit it, and then always change it back to auto when you finish. So yeah, so that's it. A few hiccups, but essentially you get the idea. And you can put a background in there. You can definitely make it look more pretty, or add your own drawings. But yeah, that's it for pop-ups. So this is just a small edit, because I've noticed that there's a problem. If you click on, say, picture 1, and then click on picture 2, and then back to picture 1, it doesn't work. Or on picture 3, then back to 1 or 2. And that's because the pop-up hasn't closed. If the pop-up hasn't closed, it won't reopen again. So it only works if we open it and close it, open it and close it. Otherwise, it doesn't really work. So yeah, there's one solution I've found for this. My first idea was to make it so that they don't close, but they just switch. It doesn't really work with this element. So I'll show you my one and only solution. If you can think of a better one, I'll be very impressed. And please put it in a comment for everybody else, including myself. But from what I can see, it really is a limitation with this modal pop-up element, because it only has one closing trigger, and what I've found is that if you have one closing trigger for multiple items, so for example, this is probably more than you want to know, but let's say I put the main closing trigger here for all of the pop-ups. It doesn't work. You know, you can only have one closing trigger for each pop-up, so you'd have to have essentially 3 separate triggers for 3 different items. They can't share the one trigger, which is poor programming, to be honest. Anyway, so the only solution I could think of was this one, and that is that we force the user to close the pop-up each time before selecting the next one, which is not so bad. Okay, so I'm just gonna so what I'm gonna do is select my group of pop-ups, and I'm gonna move them so that they cover the other options when they pop up. Okay, so styles, customize. I'm going to change the top distance to the same as this group so that it covers them. So I believe that is 280. Okay, so if we make it also 280 from the top, or perhaps even, yeah, okay, let's try that. Take a look. Oh, okay, that's okay. For some reason it's still slightly lower than the gallery heading, but that actually works probably better. And see, now it forces you to close the images each time, which actually, well, I kind of like that for this example, but if you don't want to do that, then you have a problem. To make it look a little prettier, you can do this. So I'll play with this top one. The other thing I didn't mention is that, yeah, or maybe I did, the pop-ups or any content within a group on this list, there is an order to the way they're listed. So hot pup right now is at the front. If I move him up, he goes behind. So if you're used to things like Word, Microsoft Word, or any other processing program, you'll understand things like objects being on top of one another, or behind, or forward. So the one on the bottom is most forward. Anyway, that's why we can see it. So just quickly, because I'm about as tired of this pop-ups tutorial as you probably are, let's move this object down. So let's give it a top margin of, say, 200. Is that going to be too much? Looks like too much. Say 150. Okay. And I'll make the background slightly visible. So change the opacity. Okay, I was already playing around with this. So it was previously 0, so you can't see anything. I'm going to make it 95, so you can slightly see the background. Now I just want to do the same thing for the other ones. So outer margin, just want to push the button down. So what did I say, 100 was it? Nope. 150? Yeah. Was it 150? Yeah, okay. And change the opacity to 95. And the same with the last one. So change the button, push it down to 150, and I'm going to make it slightly clear. Now, did that work? Let's try it. Okay, yeah, see, so you can see it's just blocked out the images slightly. Ooh, you can just touch the top, so you can obviously fix that. And yeah, okay, that works. So that's one solution to that problem. But again, certainly if you can find a better one without having to have multiple closing triggers, I'd really like to hear about it, because it's something I would like to do too. Anyway, you can still play around with them, and they're certainly still useful. In some respects, I actually prefer it this way, so for me it's fine, but I can understand that for some people it's somewhat limited. So good luck with it.